Welcome to WBC Faster Together, the LinkedIn Live series of Women Business Collaborative. I'm Gwen Young, the Chief Operating Officer of WBC. And today we are joined by Damon Henninger, the President and CEO of CoreCivic, Lucy Beth Mayberry, Executive Vice President Real Estate of CoreCivic, and Sharon Reynolds, who is the President of Devmar Family Products and Devmar Family Companies and a WBC board member. WBC is an unprecedented alliance of over 70 women business organizations and hundreds of business leaders, building a movement to achieve equal position, pay, and power for all women in business. Through collaboration, advocacy, action, and accountability, we are mobilizing thousands to create momentum and accelerate the pace of change. We live our commitment to DEI, and members of our leadership, a diverse board of directors, advisory and leaders councils, include more than 34% people of color. Please check the chat for our 9 action initiatives through which we aim to accelerate change, and join our movement at wbcollaborative.org. Each week in this series, we offer different ways to advocate change and accelerate impact by presenting data, research, and best practices, by lifting up the power of women and men's voices for change, and by showcasing the importance of cross-generational collaboration and the allyship of men in the movement. So today, we want to talk about allyship, the key principle underlying our 9 action initiatives and inherent in our nature as a collaborative and a movement. We are doing this with Sharon Reynolds, President and CEO, Devmar Products and the Devmar Family of Companies, WBC board member. And Sharon is speaking with Damon Henninger, President and CEO of CoreCivic, and Lucy Beth Mayberry, the Executive Vice President of Real Estate at CoreCivic. Sharon, take it away.
Well, thank you, Gwen. And it is certainly an honor to be here today to facilitate what I know is going to be an amazing conversation. And Lucy Beth, we'll start with you. Your reputation as the Executive Vice President of Real Estate at CoreCivic places you, I believe, as an anomaly in the industry. So if you wouldn't mind, please share your career journey and how Damon's allyship has significantly impacted your advancement.
Sure. Thank you, Sharon. And thank you all for allowing us to be here today. I couldn't be more excited to tell the story. I feel like I have been, the beneficiary of having some great male allies here at CoreCivic, which is a good thing, considering that I'm now the only female executive vice president. And we have struggled to keep some females in our executive leadership team over the years. And I feel like with the team that's in place now, we've made such great strides, and I'm excited to talk about it. So I've been with the company almost 20 years, and Damon has been here longer. We actually have worked alongside each other that entire time. So we have either been working in partnership development, which is our business development function together, which we did for the first half of our careers, and now working in the management role. And I feel like that without Damon's support, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I would say I have, in addition to Damon, there's 7 of us on the executive committee, and I feel that way about all of my male colleagues on that team. Couldn't ask for better support. I came in as an estate planning attorney, so I certainly had no corrections experience, and I had no business development experience. And the thing that really struck me from the beginning with Damon's support and the support of my other colleagues in the business development department is there was always parity. I never had to fight for equal pay. I never had to fight for equal treatment, for equal opportunities. I rose in the company very quickly, and I felt like that it was not, in spite of being a woman, and it wasn't because of being a woman. I felt like I was, allowed to proceed on merit. But I also felt like in that struggle, for parity and making sure that everyone is respected and that women have an opportunity, they never required conformity for me. So I was always encouraged to contribute my personal, perspective, and the roles I have held at the company have all been new. No one has sat in the role that I've sat in before I held it. And what a great thing to say about a company is that they empower all of their employees and their women to bring a new perspective. One of the big things about DEI is that we're all stronger when you have those perspectives and those concepts that you don't necessarily get when everyone looks alike and is from the same background. And I think that's one of the things Damon has done so well is he's made me feel, and my female colleagues, we all feel this way, that we're safe to speak. We can be who we are. We can be authentic leaders. And, I think sometimes I may make some of my male colleagues a little uncomfortable with I'm a very personal leader. Anyone who works at the company now knows the name of my children and has seen pictures of my cats. But that's how I relate and how I build relationships. And what a great thing to be able to say, I can do that. I know that Damon supports me in that, and he encourages it. He loves different leadership styles, and he acknowledges that women bring a different perspective. I have had 2 children in the course of my time with CoreCivic, and no assumptions were ever made. I never felt like I couldn't make my own choice about coming back to work or about the business trips I took. So it's really just been such a strong support system I've had here at CoreCivic. And given the fact that we're in, an industry that many people would think is male dominated, I think that it's, important to note we have many female employees and people of color at our company. And having that support system is integral to making sure that we grow our candidates all the way from, entry level positions to the management team. So it's a great place to be. And I'm proud to have been here for the past 20 years under Damon's leadership.
Wow, thank you, Lucy Beth. What profound and impactful statements. So Damon, as a servant leader in your organization with over 30 plus years with CoreCivic and your support of allyship, why don't you give us some comments on Lucy Beth's thoughts and some of the examples she's shared? I want to hear from you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. This is a real honor to be on this program, and we're so grateful for the partnership. And so again, thank you for this time today. Before I answer that question, let me just give you a teeny bit of my life journey because I think it impacts that question in a pretty meaningful way. To answer that question, I should say, in a pretty meaningful way. So I just hit 30 years with the company. I started with the company as a correctional officer in Leavenworth, Kansas. And it was that early days with the company, but also, I give my mom and my wife a lot of credit, just seeing how effective they were in their respective careers. My mom was in insurance and also in the financial services industries, and then my wife was internal audit for a healthcare company here in Nashville. So having those experiences, just seeing how, smart and effective and good they were in their respective careers. But then also, as I started as a correctional officer at Leavenworth, and Lucy Beth touched on this, it is a profession as individuals that run prisons or jails where the stereotype is it's male dominated, that women don't even actually work in prison. And I didn't have a thought on that either way when I started with the company. But when it was really clear to me in that first days, weeks, months that I started with the company, we had individuals working at the facility that were women that were in the military police for the United States Army that came from Fort Leavenworth. We had women that were coming from the state of Texas that worked at the Department of Corrections down there. And these women were not just correctional officers, but they were shift captains. They were leaders within the facility. And so I just have had a journey, if this makes sense, I've had a journey from, again, seeing my mom, seeing my wife, but also seeing it in my career with CoreCivic, that women can be absolutely very effective in all industries or sectors, but relative to our industry and our profession, really, really good, not only leaders and managers, but very effective communicators. Because communication, you can argue, is a skill that's important in every industry, really important in our industry, really important in our industry, in our profession. So that's a little bit of a lead into your answer, where my orientation is when we have a big, hairy issue, or we have an opportunity where we need a leader, a strong leader, that, we need to tackle an issue or maybe lead a department or a division within the company, Lucy Beth has just answered that call time and time and time again. And so when we were kind of managing some real challenges within our real estate division and having, $100 to $200 million projects that were delayed or over budget, my mind just goes to who is absolutely the best person that's dealt with big hairy issues with people and processes and departments and whatnot. And Lucy Beth came straight to my mind, and I feel so dang good about the decision, because she has just reaffirmed how effective she can be, and not only just kind of calming the waters in that situation, because she was stepping into a pretty challenging situation, but also how it's just been such a great component of our overall mission and our strategy as a business, but also just a great part of the leadership team that helps with the overall company strategy and mission, if that makes sense.
It certainly does. Wow, great, Damon. Thank you for that. And to Damon's point, Lucy Beth, give us some examples of how Damon's leadership behaviors when you are the go-to person in instances of emergencies or calming the fire, and how that has helped you feel safe and confident within your work environment, having that type of support from the leadership, from the CEO.
Thank you, Sharon. So many examples. As Damon said, I think I've developed a reputation in my prior life as a attorney, and now I really like the challenges. And one of the things I like about the challenges is it all comes down to people at the end of the day, and how you relate to those people, and how you roll up your sleeves and work out solutions that may seem impossible at the moment. I believe in face-to-face meetings. I believe in, a lot of interaction, understanding where people are coming from. And Damon has continuously supported me in making those decisions. Early on when I took over real estate, I did not have a background in construction or real estate. I, had been in the business development arm, and we had a lot of vendors that wanted to call Damon. They wanted to sort of go around me, and we had some relationships that had been damaged in previous years. And, Damon was getting a lot of calls, and to a person, he redirected every single one of those to me in a way that showed his support. It wasn't just, I don't want to talk to you, talk to her, she does this. It was, I don't think you've had an opportunity to work with Lucy Beth in this role. And he would give a little bit of my background and why I was going to be great, and he'd pass it off to me. So immediately I started with these relationships with the backing of Damon. He made it clear that I was his person, that he was going to go through me, and that, you couldn't sort of do an end run. And I can't tell you how important that has been, because now, I don't think that doesn't happen anymore. I think that people know that when they call the company, they need to call me if it's one of my issues. And that I think is hard to do for someone who's a CEO of a company, because I think he also is a problem solver. So I'm sure he wanted to fix the problem when they called him, but he didn't. He took the time to pass it to me, and he also has taken the opportunity in recent years to sort of, push me out front in the community. He's given me the opportunity to work with WBC. He's so supportive of time that I take to do that. He's helped me get involved in United Way and a lot of other, organizations that are important to the community. And he encourages me to represent CoreCivic in those instances. And what a great gift to give someone, to say, not only are you valued by the company, but you're so valued by the company that we want the community to see that. And that is takes a lot of support and effort internally, because we're still busy. But I think that CoreCivic has really placed a priority on the role we hold in the communities in which we are, not just Nashville, but where all of our facilities are. And I love to see that Damon, like he said, he values communication, and he values that, women we have some great communication skills and great communication styles. And he pushes us out there. He encourages us to be out in front. And that means more than, it not only means a lot because, he values you in the company, but he values us to tell our story. He values us to go out and find more women. And that's just a great thing. And it makes me feel good, every time I go out in the community and tell our story, that I'm representing, a company that I'm proud of and that they're proud of me. And that's a great thing to be able to say.
Fantastic, Lucy Beth. I was going to ask you how you feel like this has impacted other women in leadership roles within your organization and women who are rising into leadership roles, to see how Damon and his way throughout the organization in terms of being an ally for women has really overall impacted your entire organization. I mean, action speaks louder than words. So what are some of the comments you can make in that regard?
It has been really refreshing, gratifying. The pandemic has been challenging for all of us in corporations to reach out to our community and within our companies. And one of the great things Damon instilled was on Fridays, we do these virtual lunches. Now they're hybrid, and we're hoping we get more people in them. But he's used that avenue to speak directly to our employees. And he has been very authentic in doing that. And probably the best feedback I have gotten has been from our women in the, who are out at their home offices or doing whatever they're doing. And they feel like they actually know Damon better today than they did before the pandemic. And he's been very forward in sharing sort of his struggles. I think one of the things that people who are not in our business don't necessarily appreciate, it's very high stress, and it requires a lot of emotional output from our people. There are dangers, there are times where there are things that happen within our facilities that are very tragic, very painful. And Damon really puts his heart out there and is not afraid to lead from a place of compassion. And our employees feel that. And I get so much feedback from women in the field saying, I went and told our facility leader, this. I represented to our facility leader that I needed some time. I needed, to deal with a sick relative, or I had an issue with a child. And I honestly don't know that would have happened, 5 years ago. I think that throughout the pandemic, really being able to meet people where they are, and acknowledge, women are under a big burden at home, as I mean, we've got the kids, we've got work, we've got, all this stuff that we're trying to juggle. And instead of viewing that as a challenge, Damon viewed it as an opportunity. And he's spoken to us from an authentic place throughout that. And the feedback we've gotten from women across our company has been great.
Wow, that's phenomenal, Lucy Beth. And Damon, authentic leadership is typically led by the heart. And when you act as an ally, how were you aware of the impact that this was placing on Lucy Beth and some of the other women in your organization?
It probably again sounds a little odd. It's not something that's where I had some type of bias or something like that. I had to work through it. I honestly can say I felt like it came very naturally. And again, I give that in big part to a lot of the women that I've seen as great role models and examples and leaders of our company, and again in my personal life. But I have seen now, especially with Lucy Beth's journey, we had a leader of HR for many years, Kim White, that retired a few years ago, and seeing her journey. And then we do have 3 women on our board of directors who are fantastic, and I just, seeing not only Lucy Beth and Kim White's journey, but also just, seeing how our the 3 women on our board, how they lead, how they engage, how they show compassion, how they, ask questions, and also do what's right from a governance perspective. I definitely have seen the benefits, and so I'm all in. Like I said, I feel like I've come by this somewhat naturally, but as time goes on, and not only just seeing personal journeys, but how the company benefits, how the company grows, how the company is more creative, more innovative, work through these stressful and challenging issues. I mean, I just definitely see the benefits for sure.
Absolutely. I don't know if we have time for one more question. So this is to Damon, how can men become better allies for women?
Well, I'd say you would be well served, depending on where you sit in an organization or company or whatnot. You would be well served to ask yourself the question, how do you do that, and what's that opportunity? Again, I do appreciate maybe it's not completely natural for some folks, or maybe it's a little something in their blind spot. But I will tell you again, as someone that's just been, kind of had a front row seat and seeing some of these journeys, I mean, it is obviously very impactful for the individual. So that's good, but you and your organization will really benefit if you be an ally and find these opportunities for women to, regardless from being a board member to executive leader of management like Lucy Beth, or other opportunities within the organization. I mean, you will be better off. And with that, if you're an organization like ours, I mean, we're almost 50-50 male female, with our frontline employees, having the voice from people like Lucy Beth, really critical. We're making right decisions that not only are effective and the right course of business, but also making sure that we've got the voice we need for half our workforce in the boardroom and in the executive management room.
Certainly. So how do you both benefit personally and professionally, considering you have children, girls and boys that you're raising? Lucy Beth.
I love that my children see me as a professional. So I'm a mom, but I'm also a professional, and they have never known anything other than a working mom. But they are proud of their mom, and I think I can see the way that they take that into their own lives. I see the relationships they have with their friends, the way they treat women. They're getting older now, they're teenagers. And I really feel like, they have had the benefit of having a front row seat to how women are supposed to be treated in the workplace. They know Damon, they know my colleagues, and they know that I'm valued. And what a great example to give to two boys, is to show them how to value women through example. And they hear it, that they have both popped in on my Zoom calls occasionally, unintentionally, because they're so comfortable with my company. And they know that I'm an important part of it. And that is, that has been a great impact on my family. And I actually now have a stay-at-home husband. And he has had a really, really great career. But he is so emboldened to support my career and support CoreCivic. And that example to my kids and their friends, they all know our situation. And I'm really proud of the way the company has let me exhibit that with my family.
Oh, that is so fantastic, Lucy Beth. You have an ally at home. That's wonderful. Damon?
It has been such a treasure for me to have my not only professional relationship with Lucy Beth, but my friendship with her too. I mean, she has just got a heart of gold, and I've really gotten to know, again, her two boys and Brian, and talked a lot about his journey. The really nice thing about the two of us is that we have children of about the same age, so we're kind of on the same kind of life journey from a parent's perspective, and so we're I think I'm a receiver of more advice than giving it advice on kind of parenting, but that's just a wonderful treasure to have that thing in common that we can share and appreciate with each other. And then I said professionally, I mean, she just has such a amazing knack of just tackling some of the challenges or issues, but also providing good perspective for the company, from both, not only from a member of management, but also with our board of directors. And so I'm deeply grateful for that. That's a partnership. And again, the leadership qualities that she exhibits on a regular basis is just amazing and inspiring to me. And many times, not only providing the critical advice and perspective at the right time, but also things that I can learn from too. So I appreciate that opportunity.
Thank you, Damon. Thank you, Lucy Beth. I think we've come to the end of our interview. I really appreciate the both of you being a part of this. I've learned so much, but I already knew that these wonderful comments would be made because I know the type of company that you are. So thank you both for being here today. And it was my honor to be your moderator today. Gwen?
Thank you, Sharon, Damon, and Lucy Beth for all of your insights today. And as Sharon said, this is all we have time for today, but we invite you to wbcollaborative.org to learn more about our initiatives to increase women in the C-suite and boardroom, such as Lucy Beth, to address the underrepresentation of women in access to capital and industries, and to advance a pipeline of women leaders to bring gender pay parity, diversity, equity, inclusion to the business landscape. So join us next Thursday, August 11th, to talk with Ann Chambers and Christiane Horton from 17 Ways About Corporate Purpose. And as well, register for the WBC Action for Impact Summit, where you can hear more from leaders like Damon and Lucy Beth about how we're building a pipeline inclusive workforce from entry level up into the boardroom. Love to hear about the women on the boards. And join us weekly to keep up to date as our next guest, our progress, the movement for gender parity in business, and the latest issues by following us on social media at WB Collaborative, at Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, and have a lovely Thursday.